Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publicists Association's Let It Be Known. So, a black man crashed into the presidential motorcade surrounded by a Secret Service. You don't want to be him, right? Well, we will tell you about that this morning. And Democrats are demanding Clarence Thomas recuse himself from the upcoming Supreme Court hearing on Donald Trump as new revelations surface that Clarence Thomas often complained about his SCOTUS salary and was envious of other wealthy members of the court, only now to brag that Jeannie Thomas makes a lot of money and he's good. Boy, oh boy. Clarence Thomas. And a federal judge has overturned the death penalty conviction of a Mississippi man, finding a trial judge didn't give the man's lawyer enough chance to argue that the prosecution was dismissing black jurors for discriminatory reasons. It's called jury nullification. And we know a whole lot about that. It's another way that the criminal injustice system entraps folks. And just listen to what a Trump supporter, this to me is hilarious, what a Trump supporter has to say outside of his rally. This woman unknowingly indicts Trump by what she says, but she actually doesn't see it. If you pay attention, you'll see why it underscores how misinformed, willfully stupid, and ignorant politics and the political scene has become. And also, of course, an update on the Jonathan Majors situation after a jury found him guilty on 2 counts, not guilty on two other counts in his assault trial with his ex-girlfriend, who seems, well, okay, that's not a judge. But I see y'all came loaded for bear this morning, and I see Power 96 is all in on Giuliani, who, yeah, indeed, Rudy Giuliani. There's another lawsuit filed against him by the 2 innocent black poll workers who just won a $150 million judgment against Giuliani. But they want the court to order him to stop defaming them, because he continued even out after his loss, his massive loss. He went outside of the courtroom and he continued to defame them with inflammatory comments that were totally, which is why he is being hit with $150 million judgment. And then, of course, Donald Trump says, "I support Rudy. He's a good man." But Giuliani has to stop it. He's lost. He claimed that he claims, boy, oh boy, now he claims he has this bombshell recording or some information that proves him right, that he's been holding on to for a long time. The time to bring it out was during the trial, right? So it's all bogus, very much so. And Joni King is wondering what in the world is going on with Roseanne Barr. Nothing. It's the same thing. Roseanne Barr is and has always been out of her mind, has always been saying things that show you where she comes from, with the Hitler stuff and the racist stuff that she says. Southbound 3000 says of Rudy Giuliani, his new name is going forward will be Julie. Well, he's changing his name, Southbound, huh? Well, we began this morning. How hard? So you drive while black, and everything else we do while black. But what is one of the worst nightmares you can have driving while black? Is this man who's still unidentified? They haven't, and probably is best that he doesn't identify him. But the worst thing is slamming into the presidential motorcade. It happened the other night in Wilmington. And of course, the president, not only did he have a Secret Service detail, the president was unhurt, first of all, as we know. But not only does he have a Secret Service detail, but a gang of media. Thus, we could see the pictures, and the Secret Service and security forces. Look at it. He has to. I'm sure he needed to change his clothes after that. With their guns drawn. He immediately hands up. He did. It was an accident, and exactly. He's lucky he didn't receive 40 bullets, is what Power 96 has said. But the incident had so many eyewitnesses there. It occurred shortly after the president and his wife, Dr. Jill, departed from a campaign from their head campaign headquarters in downtown Wilmington, Delaware, at about 8:07. Austin says this man is going to be wearing Depends forever. Oh my. The Bidens had just finished having dinner with members of the reelection team when the collision happened. Um, Biden responded to a reporter's question. Just as he was responding to a question, that's when you heard the loud boom. And this guy driving a silver sedan with Delaware plates collided with the motorcade. And then you had footage. They were, as you saw, there's footage of the aftermath. And the SUV was. I tell you what, they make those things really tough for the president because the sedan that the guy was driving was all banged up. It was visibly damaged. No real damage to the president's motorcade. But how about that? That's not the way you want to start any day, right? Slamming or ending any night, slamming into the president's motorcade. I'm glad that this guy came out of it unscathed, and that apparently they recognized it for what it really was. It was simply an accident. And I don't know what he hasn't stated. They haven't stated exactly. Did he lose control? Why he lost control and slammed into? What we do know is that it was not suspicion of DUI or anything like that. But he probably noticed the president. So, folks, let the lesson be learned. Even if you see the president, keep your eye on the road. Oh gosh, Biden, he's 80 years old. He's not going to. Where am I going with that? All right. He and speaking of Biden, though, I have to bring this up because they're still pushing he and Kamala Harris for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, but they did sign a measure yesterday, another executive order. They announced or they launched anyway the National Law Enforcement Accountability Database, which they say they hope will advance police reform and strengthen community trust in police. And we'll tell you a lot more about that tomorrow. There'll be a news conference about it today, and so we'll bring you more on that tomorrow from the White House. Biden and Harris have announced this new initiative as they continue to try and push forward meaningful reform in the police force and the police departments across the country. Well, Clarence Thomas is at it again as Democrats intensify their calls for him to recuse himself from the case scrutinizing Donald Trump's potential immunity. Recent findings from ProPublica, who else, right? This legal advocacy organization continues to dig up all of the goods on Clarence Thomas and other justices too, but certainly Clarence Thomas. So it turns out that in their report titled A Delicate Matter, they revealed that Justice Thomas some years ago was complaining about the salaries of the Supreme Court justices and how he could make so much money. He and others could make so much more money in the private sector. And He also complained that because there was a ban on Supreme Court justices even getting speaking fees. It's sort of in order to keep them honest and keep the court clean. Well, he complained to a guy with a lot of power, and so certainly they fixed the whole speaking thing, and they have gotten nominal raises. But he threatened to quit, and at that point in time, he said he and another judge. At that point in time, the Democrats could have put in a more democratic friendly or constitutional friendly Supreme Court justice. And so Thomas, of course, as we have learned a lot more this year, has gone on to flout the rules, even forcing the court for public relations sake to adopt this code of ethics last month. Which who is the who enforces that? The justices themselves. So it's really just for show. And so Mike V says, shouldn't he be worried about his wife's involvement in January 6th? Well, no, he shouldn't be worried about it because there's no repercussions to be had there. We know that. But Hank Johnson, Representative Hank Johnson, um, sent a letter to Uncle Clarence and said, you got to remove yourself because of doubts about your objectivity when it comes to Donald Trump. He says faith in the Supreme Court in his letter, faith in the Supreme Court has plummeted, and fewer than half of all Americans trust the Supreme Court. He says public perception is growing that the Supreme Court flouts the rules, in large part due to your recently reported ties to and luxury travel with a Republican billionaire donor that you hid for decades. So Hank Johnson put it all out there. The public pressure, he says, has grown so intense that last month the court announced a formal, though unenforceable, code of conduct. He reminded Justice Thomas that Thomas also signed that code and publicly proclaimed that he would subscribe to the rules, which state that a justice should disqualify himself or herself in a proceeding in which the justice's impartiality might reasonably be questioned. That is, where an unbiased and unreasonable person who is aware of all relevant circumstances would doubt that the justice could fairly discharge his or her duties. Then he went in. So you mentioned about Jeannie. He went in. He detailed Congressman Johnson detailed Jeannie Thomas's involvement with the twice impeached, 4 times indicted former president and his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election and to obstruct the certification of Biden's victory. He says they are at the center of the very conspiracies that your wife has presented. He says your wife not only attended, and this is a quote from the letter, your wife not only attended the pro-Trump rally that preceded the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, but she was also one of the 9 board members for a conservative political group that helped lead the, quote, Stop the Steal movement. So Hank Johnson says if you want to show the American people that the Supreme Court's recent code of conduct is worth more than the paper it is written on, you must do the honorable thing and recuse yourself from any decisions in the case of the U.S. versus Trump. And here's where Congressman Johnson went wrong when it comes to Clarence Thomas. Just one word there, and I'm sure y'all all caught it. I know Austin caught it. He said, do what? The honorable. There's nothing honorable about Clarence. Come on. Clarence Thomas is reading that letter saying honorable. What does that mean? Come on. He's not going anywhere. But the problem is, and so you say he should recuse himself. This Harlan Crow, who has basically taken care of Thomas, bought his mother a house, sent him and Jeannie on these yachts, super yachts, and expensive vacations and things like that. He had cases before the court, and Thomas didn't recuse himself. And there's no way he's going to uh, recuse himself where he could help his master, Donald Trump. There's no way he's doing that. So I get the Democrats in the letter asking him to do so, but as much as Hank Johnson says that the code of conduct that Thomas signed isn't worth the he if he sits on this case, it isn't worth the paper that is written on. His letter to Thomas, in Thomas's view, isn't worth the paper it's written on either. And so that's been a major issue. It's always been an issue with the Supreme Court, but not more so than it has been in recent years, particularly with Clarence Thomas. And so when, again, as somebody mentioned in the chat, that it's time to expand the court. Well, they don't want to do that. They are against that. But how about putting some real teeth in a real legislative code of ethics, which they haven't done, have never done. And this is where, and again, I cover politics. I always have to give this disclaimer. I don't get involved other than covering it. But here's the thing where folks get upset with Democrats, get upset with Democrats. The Democratic voters get upset with Democrats because they sit back and they bemoan things, right? And am I saying that they are all talk, no action? Not necessarily, but they do more moaning and whining about stuff. Whereas the Republicans, even before they became MAGA dominated, they never whining, moan about stuff. They just they put a plan in action. In some cases, and certainly the last several years, evil plans in action. They follow it. They follow their blueprint. And that's what they do. And this is why you keep seeing folks. I think it's why you keep seeing folks hone in on the age of the president. See, it's a little misguided to do that. You got to look at the whole picture and see that their messaging has been, continues to be, and always will be, it seems, just way off. Way off. And it starts with the Democratic National Committee. We had Jamie Harrison on our red carpet. He made some statement. We've reached out to Jamie Harrison, nothing back. How do you ignore the black press? And it's not about having him on the program. Although he's invited, but it's more to that, a lot more to that. They have, and so their messaging is just weak. They don't know how to capitalize. And it tells you something too, because the Republicans, the way that they've been behaving the last few years, it should be easy fodder for campaign ads, for just things that you could put out in press statements. And even Austin, I'm not criticizing her, but even Karine at the podium. She can't get involved in campaigns. She can't say anything regarding campaigns at the podium. That's against it's against the rules. But even at the podium, you cannot go a moment, I think, without reminding folks of what they're dealing with. And that's where the Democrats fail. If they would just stay on point with that, and it should be easy. What easier targets than Donald Trump being indicted with 91 criminal felony criminal accounts against them, counts. What easier target than Lauren Boebert getting felt up and filling somebody up at a Beetlejuice show? What easy prey do you have when you got Marjorie Taylor Greene complaining that her book is being censored? When this chick is banning black books or black authored books or LGBT books or Hispanic books everywhere. It's incredible that they unload their gun and you got a tank and you don't use it. It's just a democratic way. And this thing with Clarence Thomas, it is really simple, but y'all have made it complicated. When you had, of course, you had old smoking Joe Manchin and Kirsten. I don't know where I'm at, cinema, as voting partners. But when you had the majority in the House and the majority in the Senate, and of course the White House, and you complain about things, how about just getting it done? So you couldn't expand the court because Joe Manchin said, "No way, I would go for that." Right? That old Jim Crow relic that they used, the filibuster. Joe Manchin said, "I'm not doing that." Okay, so how about let's do this, Joe? And who could argue with let's put a meat and potatoes code of conducts in for the Supreme Court where we can kick them out if they violate this? Did anybody think of that? Was that even presented? Because there's no way you can face your constituents and say, I don't think that I think the Supreme Court should be above the law. I think that Clarence Thomas should shake people down, allegedly. I think Clarence Thomas should be able to take bribes or sit before somebody that has given him hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars in gifts. Who's going to stand before the voters and say that, yeah, I think that, yeah, I'm all for that. Democrats, and Republicans, all of y'all in this political game that's what it is. It's a game. It's a high stakes game nonetheless, but it's a game because once again, the senators, the Congress people, they're getting paid regardless. They got the best health care regardless. They're not paying a penny. You go to the doctor, not only do you got a copay there, but later you're gonna get, if you got x-rays or whatever, you're getting a bill. And that bill always seems to come at the most inopportune time. Other bills come, you know they coming. You ready to pay them. A hospital bill comes at the most, and no matter what, it's time to go on vacation. Open the mail. Hospital, $10,000 hospital bill. The Congress people, the people who make these laws, don't have any bills. So when Clarence Thomas was complaining back in 2000 about making $177,000 as a justice, what he wasn't complaining about was the fact that he had no copays, free health care. Essentially, wherever he went, somebody was paying for it. So he didn't have you and I bills. The dude bought him a house. Bought his mother a house. They get 100% escort service. So they don't have to worry about vehicles or driving anyway. and they leave with the biggest and best of pensions, full 100%. If they ever leave the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court folks die in office for the most part, and Congress, and look, Dianne Feinstein died in office. They want to die in office. The Congress and senators, presidents leave, and they get multi-million-dollar book deals and Secret Service for life, free healthcare, free this and free that for life. It's a different life, folks. Different life. And Democrats that and we mention Democrats a lot because like Austin comes on and he identifies himself as a Democrat. We got a lot of people who come through the black press and identify themselves as Democrats. And so Power 96 says that is the only benefit from the military that I brag about, cheap health care. And it's only $26 a month for my family. It used to be free. That is awesome, $26 a month. Boy, oh boy. Nonetheless, Clarence Thomas will no doubt sit on that, sit in judgment when it comes to the Trump issue, which is coming before the court. So, turning our attention to that great state of Mississippi, says it totally with tongue in cheek. A federal judge has overturned the death penalty conviction of a Mississippi man, finding a trial judge didn't give the man's lawyer enough chance to argue that the prosecution was dismissing black jurors for discriminatory reasons. U.S. District Judge Michael P. Mills ruled that the state of Mississippi must give Terry Pitchford a new trial on capital murder charges. Mills wrote that his ruling is partially motivated by what he called former DA Doug Evans's history of discriminating against black jurors. So this district attorney went his entire career discriminating against black jurors. Now, as of Sunday, Pitchford was still on death row. I don't know if they finally removed him in the last couple of days, but Judge Mills ordered the state to retry him. He's 37 years old, by the way. And he said they have to retry him within 6 months. Otherwise, they have to release him from custody. But he was indicted in 2004, charged with robbery at the Crossroads grocery store, a store just outside of Grenada in northern Mississippi. That's something else. You live and first of all, y'all know how I feel about Mississippi. And again, I say that knowing that we have two fantastic newspapers down there, the Jackson Advocate and the Mississippi Link. But you're losing if your town is Grenada, Mississippi, something you behind the 8 ball already. But Pitchford and his friend Eric Bulens went to the store to rob it, according to police. Bulens shot the store owner, a guy named Reuben Britt, 3 times, fatally wounding him, while Pitchford said he fired shots into the floor. Police found Britt's gun in a car at Pitchford's house, and Pitchford, who was 18 years old at the time, confessed to his role, saying he had also tried to rob the store 10 days earlier. But Mills, the judge, said that the jury selection before the trial was critically flawed because the trial judge didn't give Pitchford's defense enough of a chance to challenge the state's reason for striking black jurors. And we see this all the time. We see it all the time. I mean, look, and this is, again, let me preface this by saying there's no commentary on guilt or innocence. But I sat for jury selection in the Bill Cosby trial. And I watched as the prosecutor there just happily. And it was like he was doing a dance every time a potential black jury, you're not getting on. No way I'm seating you. It was just really, really, and it became so obvious immediately that it was racially motivated. There was a black just to give you one for instance, there was a black female police officer from Allegheny County who met all the criteria to be on that jury. She was a former police officer, impeccable record, and she sat and they said no, we moved to strike her, and at that point they had to explain because I believe at that point they had run out of challenges, and they came up with this thing that she had. Uh, they said that she had falsified time cards for another officer when she was on the force. Well, it turns out that, and Cosby's lawyer presented this as fact that turns out, yes, she was accused of it. She was fired, but they found out that she never did that. She had maintained her innocence the whole time, but what it was she was they wanted her off the force. It was a racially motivated reason why they wanted her off the force. She sued, went to court, went to trial against the county, and the evidence in that trial, as was brought out in the jury process, the evidence in that trial showed that not only was she not guilty, but it showed that this was all about race and getting her off the police force, and that she had never done it. She won the case, and the county wound up paying her some sort of settlement, a couple of $1 million or whatever. And say they presented that to the judge, who also in that case was biased as well, and so he ruled along with the way the prosecutor wanted him to rule and kicked her off the jury. But this is what happens. It's called jury nullification. That's just one of millions of examples. They don't. So this whole idea of jury of your peers, they don't want you to sit in judgment. They don't want black folks to sit in judgment of other black folks in a lot of cases. And part of that in modern day stems from O.J. Simpson, because Gil Garcetti, he said blacks are not peers, David Youngblood. Gil Garcetti, who was the district attorney in Los Angeles, wanted to try OJ in downtown Los Angeles. And he knows, and I asked him this, and he denied it for the most part. He didn't just totally dismiss it, but he said his reason for moving the OJ trial from Santa Monica, which 90 plus at that time anyway, about 90+% white. The jury pool would have no doubt been all white, to downtown Los Angeles. He said the courtroom, and I told him that's bogus. That's like it's really a horrible reason to move a trial, a murder trial, a double murder trial. He said the courtroom was too small for all the media. Are you kidding me? But you were concerned about the media? Having enough space for the media? This is a double murder trial. I'm glad Wade Whitfield says I'm having a good morning. It's good to hear when folks are having a good morning. Make my morning good, Wade, and others. Share this broadcast on your platforms as well. But so anyway, he said he moved it for that reason. But the reason he moved it is quite simple. Rodney King was beaten like a runaway slave. Those cops got off. And so thank you, Wade. He says, yes, he will. Follow Wade's lead and share this broadcast on your platforms. He wanted black folks, or at least people of color, to convict OJ. So when that didn't happen, that jury, after like a 100-year trial, seemed like it was 100 years, right? it was a couple of hours. They came back with not guilty. And so for modern day courts, DAs, judges look at that. Not again, not on my watch. I'm not trusting you black folks to sit on the jury when it comes to other black folks. So OJ messed so much up. He messed so many things up, didn't he? Boy, oh boy. Unbelievable. So anyway, this guy in Mississippi, Pittsford, um, also was not even given a chance to rebut the state's case. So it's a lot was wrong there, but the judge honed in on the fact that it was juror nullification. So, and this Evans guy, this district attorney down there, well, even the U.S. Supreme Court found that he had improperly excluded black people from other juries. They had to overturn some other death sentences because of this district attorney. Even Brett Kavanaugh. So you know it's bad when Brett Kavanaugh says that this district attorney's efforts was a relentless, determined effort to rid the jury of black individuals. That was from Brett Kavanaugh. So that's what Pittsford had faced, and maybe now he will get a new trial. We will find out within the next 6 months. So turn our attention now to a guy who's had quite a year. Wade Wilfield says he's having a good morning. Trump has had everything but a good year. This guy starts the year with an indictment. Well, actually, he started the year because remember last November, November 2022, New York opened the look back window for individuals who had been sexually assaulted. They can now sue. They had a year. He was the first major case where E. Jean Carroll, the writer, brought a case against Donald Trump, said that he sexually assaulted her. And jury agreed with her, awarded her $5 million in damages. Then the New York indictment came and all the other indictments came. And then a judge said that he also committed, quote, massive business fraud. And he's about to be walloped with an amazing fine and kicked out of New York for good. They say clean up New York. Well, they're getting ready to. But a woman outside a Trump rally told an interviewer that the U.S. has been under, quote, under an evil control for years, but that Trump exposed that evil. Then she complained about presidents who go out of office, quote, and here's the part, richer than when they came in. You had to, well, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? So let's take a look at this video.
How are we doing? If it's your first rally, raise your hand. Oh, great. Can I talk to you for a second? Wonderful. Where are you from?
I'm from Saybrook, Connecticut.
Wonderful. Okay, so are you excited? Obviously, first time you met Trump.
Very excited. Very concerned.
Okay, concerned. That was my next question. What is it about this country right now that concerns you the most?
I think it's that we've been under an evil control for many, many years, and I feel President Trump's exposed that evil.
The corruption within our own government.
I mean, a president comes into office and then they go out and they're richer than they came in. And then we have people on the street. We have open borders. very upsetting time for me.
Very upsetting time. It's a good versus evil scenario.
I want to do that. That's how I feel. I'm just going to break it right down. You know,
That's exactly what it is. It's good.
statues being erected around Christmas time and Hanukkah time.
There was a city, I'm going to believe, in Iowa that he could not put out a manger scene on out there, so was forced to put a Santa Claus to offset all of that. So what are you looking forward to hearing from the president as he speaks this afternoon?
I don't know how they got to this whole idea of the statues being erected and stuff like that, but come on. But she says, Austin says the marbles in her brain are evil. But she says they come out richer than what they. Isn't that exactly what Donald Trump did? They say stuff and it's like, really? Do you understand what you're saying? So unreal. But once again, that's also fodder for Jamie Harrison at the DNC, for those who are heading the Biden-Harris campaign. Will they use it? No, probably not. Probably not. David Youngblood says the most dangerous people in America are white Christian nationalists. Wow. Very, very interesting. Well, in the category of what were you thinking, it goes to Megan Good. What's up, Megan? Can we talk for a minute? Jonathan Majors was found guilty on 2 of 4 charges in his trial for domestic assault allegations. The jury found him guilty of 3rd-degree assault, recklessly causing physical injury, and 2nd-degree harassment. Jurors found him not guilty of 2nd-degree aggravated harassment and an additional 3rd-degree assault charge, intent to cause physical harm. So what happened afterwards? What do you think happened? Disney and Marvel dropped Jonathan Majors. They said it's over. You're done. You're finished. He's going to be sentenced in February. He could get up to a year in prison. And people looked at this video that was released in which he was running away from the woman. And I'm sure that's probably why the other 2 charges were dismissed by the jury. But what they couldn't get over was the text messages in which he appeared to admit that he had battered her. And look, he never stood a chance anyway. He never stood. And Megan Good, now by his side, what's going to come of her, especially in this era in which you support someone who is now convicted of abuse, domestic abuse, then your career is as dead as his. People say, well, you can't help who you fall in love with. And yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Now, I don't know Jonathan Majors. I don't know Megan. But I do know that she's had a really good career. Very attractive woman. Had a good career. But the operative word there might be had. The next part, because these Hollywood things, they don't last. They're there, and you have to wonder too. And I understand that they might have had the same agent. You have to wonder, was she put there or asked to be there to stand by him as, like, for lack of a better term, eye candy for the jury. You know, to have someone of Megan's caliber, yeah, it'd be like, well, to have someone of Megan's caliber stand there next to you, supporting you every day. Um, maybe they thought the jury be like, oh gosh, it's Megan good. I listen. I know many men who, if they was on that jury, I don't know. Maybe it backfired. Maybe he had a dude on there like, oh, he would Megan good. I'm sending him to prison. I'm gonna send him to prison. He would Megan good. We can't let Megan win. Maybe I got a shot at Megan if he goes to prison. But what was that about? That's the overriding question. We'll see. You know, relationships are relationships, but we will see now what happens. And I don't say that in any type of wishful way or anything like that. I have no dog in that fight. Maybe they do have a great relationship, and hopefully it will continue to be that. Will she hold him down? Will she be his true ride or die? Because that's the question. That is the question now. And I also wonder, because all the while, oh, there's nothing to this. This girl is crazy, blah, 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 talking about the ex-girlfriend. And sure enough, she seems like she's like, as Power 96 would say, five cans short of a six-pack. She does seem, you know, like the elevator doesn't go all the way up. But you wonder, did they feel like she was going to right. So I keep seeing notes, and it's true. She should have been arrested too, because she assaulted. Oh, we saw that. And I don't know who she is. You know, she's like a model or something, because she did lie. And is she gonna lose her career? Because it's done. Jonathan Majors is done. Now, I don't know, because Jussie Smollett, or Smollett, or however you say his name, I understand he does some behind the scenes producing. So maybe that's what Jonathan Majors is going to have to do if he's, you know, if he can produce. But it's going to be interesting. Megan got to stand by your man or what. But I wonder, I was going to say, I wonder, she must have totally bought into his innocence. But I wonder how she may have felt when they showed in court some of the footage, and just as importantly, I should say, those text messages in which he's telling her, basically, look, you shouldn't talk to anybody. You should stay away for a while until those bruises that I caused heal. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. And Wade Whitfield says Major should have filed charges against her. And that, yeah, I mean, we've seen that in the past. And I agree there. Why didn't he file charges against her? In hindsight, he probably thinking the same thing. Because now it's too late. Because now it's going to look like it's sour grapes. I heard somebody say that before. It was actually, not to get off track, but the district attorney in the Michael Jackson trial, he wanted to prosecute the mothers. And after Michael Jackson was found not guilty, he said it would be sour grapes to go after the mothers now. It'd be like sour grapes. So maybe that's how he feels about it. He can't go after her now. You really can't. Somebody else would have to go after her. But then there was Southbound 3000. Someone said, if you're white, you're right. If you're black, get back. That sounds like a Sanford and Son line. It really does. I can see Fred Sanford saying that. But you have to wonder, they showed that video too of when she was like in a closet or something. And I mean, it was horrible. It was, and then after this attack, the alleged attack, well, he's convicted, but still, I'm going to say alleged because he was also acquitted on a couple of the charges. And so, but after that particular incident in which he's been found guilty, she went out partying. Now, you can't tell people how to grieve or how to cope with stuff, but the way that it was brought and the way it was told, it was that, I mean, he put a hurting on her. It's hard to see in that video of her partying right afterwards. It's hard to see that. So somebody has to explain that, because I can't, I can't wrap my head around it. But maybe it's because I'm just not educated enough on that front. But she was partying. She was playful. She appeared to be playful. She appeared to be in very good spirits at that whatever, like a nightclub or bar or something where she went partying. Power 96 said, I bet it was an all-white party. But then and you remember, so you got to understand, she tried to run him over. Again, I can't relitigate it. I know Lauren Burke was there. Lauren hightailed it to New York. She had to see firsthand what was going on with the Jonathan Majors case. But all of it was suspect. All of it because of the fact that what you appear to have really is certainly an abusive relationship, but from both sides. And it appeared to show that when he said enough was enough, she wouldn't budge. She wouldn't budge. She went after him. She ran after him after the alleged attack. She ran after him like, man, there's no way I'm letting this man go. And guess what? if you haven't seen her, if you see her, you understand why she want to hold on for dear life. This chick is whoa. And he says that quote was said. Oh, Southbound 3000 said that quote that he wrote there was said during Obama's inauguration. He said he can't think of the man who said it, but he remembers it saying, wow, that's interesting. And I'm not repeating that comment. Y'all want to see Power 96's comment? Y'all look at it. I'm not repeating. It doesn't sound like something we should repeat. Oh my. Okay. So Jonathan Majors, you hate to see someone's career taken away from them, but you knew this was going to happen. You knew Disney, you knew Marvel was waiting for the verdict. And I wonder if they would have done that. Y'all let me know. Talk to me. Do you think that they would have done that had he was found not guilty based on the fact that they had played all these videotapes and the text messages? I'd like to hear from you guys that are listening, that are watching. Would that have happened? Would they have taken his career away like that? Is the association? Yeah, share your thoughts on our YouTube channel at Let It Be Known -News. Because we'd like to hear what you think. But in addition to sharing your thoughts, please there's a share button. Share it. Share the program. Like, why is he asking me to share it? Because I want you to. let everybody know that they can see the headlines in the morning before they go to work or school or whatever you do in the morning. You know, the headlines from the Black press. And certainly subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You can subscribe to our Facebook as well, but if you subscribe to Facebook, make sure you subscribe to YouTube. And also you can find Let It Be Known show producer on Twitter, X, as they say. Your ex wants you back. You ever had an ex who wanted you back? I did. That's the best feeling of all. I know it's bad. I had somebody call me like a week before my wedding. I couldn't believe it. I hadn't seen that person in years and found out I was getting married. I felt like I was like the man. She was like, I heard you're getting married. You think if you think this, you think that is if you could put it off, got one more chance, give me one more. I'm like, are you crazy? I found a diamond in the rough. I found gold. I struck gold. You wasn't even silver. Shoot. Boy, oh boy, a combination of Megan Good, Halle Berry, or whatever couldn't have got me away from who I wound up with. That's for sure. Your ex wants you back, but let it be known. Go to LIBK News Shows on Twitter and follow our show producer there. You could do that too, but mostly go to YouTube. Subscribe and share and like. Okay. We promise we're going to be bringing you some more stuff, some good stuff, some fun stuff, some stuff to make you go, as Arsenio Hall used to say, Thanks for watching. Let It Be Known. Have a great, great day, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Somebody finally watched, like at the end, the guy OG something. So it must be
That's Power 96.
Oh yeah, he joined our IG right at the end. So
what is that?
I don't know how to.
What's that?
Somebody's
asking me about this menthol stuff. See if I'm writing a piece on the